In order to edit artwork in Illustrator, you first need to be able to select it. Now, there are a lot of methods for selecting, and in this video, you'll explore a number of them, including outline mode, select similar, and more. With the latest version of Illustrator CC open, you can open this file from the practice files for this tutorial if you want to follow along. Now, to make sure that you can see everything in your document, choose View, Fit All in Window. Now, to start, you'll select some artwork and change its color. The circles and stripes you see on this cake need to be a different color. So, to select them, with the selection tool selected, click one of the circles. In order to select the other circles that are the same fill color, this burgundy, you can use something called the Select Same commands. To do that, choose Select Same, and you can see a series of options for selecting similar artwork. Choose Fill Color, and all the objects with that same fill color are now selected, even these shapes. Now, these shapes don't need to be selected, so you can remove them from the selection. To do that, press the Shift key and click each of these confetti shapes. And also Shift-click this shape too to remove it from the selection as well. Now, to change the color of the selected shapes, click Fill in the Properties panel. In the panel that appears, make sure that swatches are selected. These are default colors that come with each document. And choose a red. There, that looks a little better. Press the Escape key to hide the swatches then. Now next, the cake icing right here needs to be reshaped a little bit. To do that, you'll select a part of this shape and reshape it. To start, double-click the icing shape. This enters in isolation mode so you can focus on just that artwork without selecting other content. Now to select part of this shape, select the Direct Selection tool in the Tools panel, and you should now see all of these points that make up the shape. These are called anchor points, and they're used to control the shape of the path. To select a few of the anchor points so you can reshape the artwork, you can draw a selection around those points with a tool called the Lasso tool. So press and hold on the Direct Selection tool and select the Lasso tool. Come out to the artwork, press and drag around just these anchor points to select them. Now to move those anchor points, you're going to switch back to the Direct Selection tool. So press and hold down on the Lasso tool and select the Direct Selection tool. Move the pointer over one of the points and drag it down to move them all. To stop editing the shape and exit this isolation mode, press the Escape key. Another method of selecting which can make life easier is to work in outline mode. Now to enter outline mode, choose View, Outline. You can now only see the outlines of the artwork. This can make it easier to select content behind other content or even to drag across artwork to make a selection, for instance. These circles down here need to be selected so they can be resized. So select the Selection tool, and starting in a blank area over here, drag across the circles to select them. Now you'll probably also select this larger shape here. To deselect this shape, press the Shift key and click its edge. So that you can see the color fills again in the shapes, choose View, Preview, or GPU Preview if you see that. Now to resize the circles, press the Shift key to resize them proportionally and drag a corner to make them a little bit larger to fill a space better. When they look right, release the mouse button and then the key. So that they're no longer selected, click in a blank area to deselect everything. There really are a lot of tools and methods for selecting artwork in Illustrator. The more ways to select that you know, the easier it'll be to edit artwork later on. In this video, you'll explore a few different ways to make selecting artwork easier by temporarily showing and hiding content, locking or unlocking artwork, and more. So with the latest version of Illustrator open, you can open this file from the practice files for this tutorial if you want to follow along. Now to make sure that you can see everything in your document, choose View, Fit Artboard in Window. Now we need to see a little bit more of the area outside the artboard or page to make some of the selections easier. So to zoom out, choose View, Zoom Out. There's a lot of artwork in this practice file, and all of the hand objects you see here need to be selected and moved into position. Now there are a lot of ways to do this. To start, you'll explore different methods for hiding and locking content, and you're going to start with this background. So with the Selection tool selected, click one of the lines in the background. Now it looks like each of these lines is a separate object. To make it so you can hide all of the content in the background, you'll select all of the lines in this purple shape. Now to be able to drag across the content in the background so you can select all of it, you'll temporarily hide this balloon first. So click this balloon to select it, and to hide it, choose Object, Hide, Selection. Now to select all of this background content, you'll drag across. So starting up here, drag across it all, making sure not to select anything else. Now to make selecting the background content easier next time, you'll group it together or treat it as a single object for selection. Click the Group button in the Properties panel to do that. Now to show that balloon again, choose Object, Show All. This shows everything that was hidden previously. Now to hide that background group, click to select it again, then choose Object, Hide, Selection. Notice the keyboard shortcut for hiding. It's Command 3 on macOS or Control 3 on Windows. Going forward, you're going to use that shortcut instead of the menu item here. Now you'll select and hide these balloons and then the packages. First, you'll lock the phone so you can't accidentally select it. So click on the phone group. You can tell it's already a group of objects because you can see the word group at the top of the Properties panel. Now to lock the phone, choose Object, Lock, Selection. You can no longer select it if you try clicking on it. Now to select the balloons, drag across the top part of the balloons. Notice that you most likely didn't select all of those balloon strings. To more easily see the strings, you can enter Outline mode. So choose View, Outline, to only show the strokes or borders of the artwork. Now to select the strings as well, press the Shift key and click on each balloon string. To make them easier to select later on, you'll group the balloons together as well. So click the Group button at the bottom of the Properties panel. So that you can see the artwork color again, choose View, Preview, or GPU Preview if you see that. To hide the balloons, press Command and 3 on macOS or Control and 3 on Windows. Now to hide the packages. Drag across to select them, and notice that you didn't select the phone because it's locked. Press Command and 3 on macOS or Control and 3 on Windows to hide those packages. Finally, to select the hand, drag across the hand artwork. Now to make sure you can move and select it as one object later, you'll group it together. So click the Group button in the Properties panel. Now if you click on the hand on the right, you can tell it's already grouped together because the word Group shows at the top of the Properties panel. Now to keep the hands and the phone together, you'll group these groups together. But first you need to be able to select the phone, so you'll unlock it. Choose Object, Unlock All. This unlocks all of the content in your document. Now to select the hands and the phone, drag across all of the artwork to select it. To keep it together as a group, click the Group button in the Properties panel. Once again, we're doing that to make it easier to select it later on, and if we drag part of it, all of it will move together. To show everything again, choose Object, Show All. Then click in a blank area to make sure that nothing is selected. Now to finally move this hand separately, click to select it and you select the entire group it's in. To select just the hand, which is part of a group, double-click the hand to enter in isolation mode. You can't select anything else except for what's in the group. Now you can drag the hand up, noticing that it's still grouped. Once it looks good, press the Escape key to exit isolation mode. Being able to make selections easily using commands like Lock and Hide can really save you a lot of time when working in Illustrator. And it can also make it so you can focus more on the fun part, being creative. In this video, you'll assemble this rocket using the pieces on the left, and you'll explore reflecting, shearing, rotating, and other transformations. With Illustrator CC open this practice file for this tutorial to follow along. Now to make sure you see all of the artwork, choose View, Fit All in Window. The flame shape you see here is only half drawn. It needs to be copied and then flipped to create the second half. So to select the flame shape, select the Selection tool, and click to select it. Now to zoom in a little bit closer to it, choose View, Zoom In. To make a copy of the shape, choose Edit, Copy, and then choose Edit, Paste in Place. There's now a copy right on top of the original in the same place. To flip the copy, in the Properties panel, select the bottom center point of this reference point right here. Now the points in this little box correspond to the points you see around the shape. That means the flame shape will flip across this point on the shape. Click the Flip Along Vertical Axis button to flip it across the bottom center point on the shape. Now you'll rotate these shapes so you can add them to the rocket. So press and drag across them. Then to rotate them, just move the pointer off of a corner around the box here. When the rotate arrows appear, you can begin dragging to rotate it. As you're dragging, press the Shift key to rotate it in 45-degree increments. When it looks like this, release the mouse button and then the key. To move them into position, just drag the flame shapes up here. When they're about right here, release. Now these yellow flame shapes need to be behind the orange flame shapes. So what you can do is you can arrange the objects to do that. Choose Object, Arrange, Send to Back. The yellow shapes are now behind the orange shapes. This group of rocket shapes is only half drawn, and it needs to be copied and reflected to create a whole rocket. To move up so you can see it, press the space bar and drag with the hand tool. Then release the space bar. Click to select the rocket group. What you're going to do is you're going to make a copy of it right on top of the original. Then you'll reflect the copy. So to copy it, choose Edit, Copy, and then Edit, Paste in Place. Now you'll reflect the copied rocket artwork using the Reflect tool. To select the Reflect tool, press the Rotate tool in the Tools panel on the left, and select the Reflect tool from the menu of Tools. Now the crosshairs you see right here in the center of the artwork is actually where you'll reflect around by default. Now this rocket artwork should really reflect around the right edge. That way you don't have to move this copy after it's reflected. Move the pointer over the right edge of the selected artwork, and when you see the word Path, click to set the Reflect Around point. To reflect the copy, begin dragging out here. As you drag, press the Shift key to constrain it to 45 degrees. When it looks like this, release the mouse button and then the key. Now this circle over here will actually become a series of windows on the rocket. You'll drag it onto the rocket and make a few evenly spaced copies. So select the Selection tool and drag the circle onto the rocket right about here. To make it a little bit easier to see, zoom in by choosing View, Zoom In. Now you'll drag a copy from this circle. So press the Option key on macOS or Alt key on Windows and drag the circle to the right. Release the mouse button and then the key to make a copy. Now to make a third copy, you can have Illustrator repeat what you just did using the Transform Again command. Choose Object, Transform, Transform Again. The final step is to apply a shear transformation to make these lighter blue rectangles look like a reflection in this window using the Shear tool. So click to select these shapes. Then to select the Shear tool, press and hold on the Reflect tool in the Tools panel and select it. Move your pointer over here and drag to the right. As you drag, press the Shift key to constrain the movement. When they look something like this, release the mouse button and then the key. To move this window onto the rocket, you're going to select all the shapes. So select the Selection tool and drag across the window shapes. Then drag them into the center of the rocket here. Now to finish the artwork, so you can see everything again, choose View, Fit All in Window. Select all the rocket artwork by dragging across it. Then drag it onto the artwork to the right, about here. And to rotate the rocket, you can also set a rotation angle in the Properties panel here. So choose 330 from the Rotate menu. There really are a lot of ways to transform artwork in Illustrator. The more ways you know, the easier it'll be for you to be creative. In this video, you'll combine a series of simpler shapes using the Shape Builder tool and Pathfinder effects to complete this logo. If you want to follow along, you can open this practice file for this tutorial. Now to make sure you see everything, choose View, Fit All in Window. You'll start by combining these circles here, using the Shape Builder tool to create the centerpiece of the logo. With the Selection tool selected, drag across the circles to select them. To zoom in a little bit, press Command and plus on macOS or Control and plus on Windows a few times. Now, to combine these shapes in different ways, you'll use the Shape Builder tool, which lets you combine or remove parts of shapes you select. So select the Shape Builder tool in the Tools panel. To combine parts of these circles together, start from here and drag to here, and then release. You just combine those parts of the circles into one shape. Now, to continue combining, drag from this newly combined shape to the remaining shapes like you see here. Now, you can also remove parts of shapes with the Shape Builder tool. To remove these parts of the circles, press the Option key on macOS or Alt key on Windows. You should see a minus sign next to the pointer now, which means any shapes you drag across or click will be removed. So move the pointer here, and with the key held down, drag through the remaining shapes. Release the mouse button and then the key. You now have a single shape for the center of the logo. To drag your new shape into the center of the yellow circle down here, select the Selection tool and drag the shape down by its edge. Next, you'll remove the front shape you just created from the yellow circle using a different option called Pathfinder Effects. To select the circle and the shape you created, drag across to select them. You can now see some of the pathfinders in the Properties panel on the right. To remove the front shape from the circle permanently, click minus front here. It essentially subtracts the front shape from the yellow shape behind. Now, to finish the center part of the logo, drag this small white shape into place. Then, to keep all of these shapes together, you'll group them. So drag across all the objects and click the Group button in the Properties panel. To see everything on this artboard, choose View, Fit Artboard and Window. The remaining content on the right here needs to be combined in different ways. You'll explore some other pathfinders to finish it. Here you'll see two circles and a rectangle behind them. All these shapes will become the headband of some headphones. So select the circles by dragging across them. To remove where they're overlapping each other, so only the gray area you see remains, click the Exclude option in the Properties panel. Now you'll use the rectangle to remove the bottom half of the circle. Drag across both shapes to select them. And to see more Pathfinder options, click More Options in the Pathfinder section of the Properties panel. There are a lot you can try. In this case, the rectangle is behind the circular shape, or it's the back shape. So click minus back to remove the rectangle shape from the circular shape. Press the Escape key to hide the Pathfinder options in the panel. Now, the three circles here are supposed to become the earpieces for the headphones. What you'll do is you'll actually divide these up so that you can get the pieces you want. So drag across all of the shapes to select them. Click More Options in the Pathfinder section of the panel to see some more options. To divide the shapes where they intersect, click Divide. Press the Escape key to hide the Pathfinder options in the panel. Applying the Divide Pathfinder shapes makes them a group. So if you want to select individual objects, you'll need to ungroup them. So click to select the group again if you need to. Then click the Ungroup button in the Properties panel. Then click in a blank area to deselect the shapes, and drag the center shape away from the others, and to remove it, press Backspace or Delete. You can then select each of these smaller shapes and press Backspace or Delete to remove them. To finish the headband, drag the shape over this artwork. Drag across both objects, and to keep them together, click the Group button in the Properties panel. To finish the logo, choose View, Fit All in Window, and drag the artwork over here onto the artboard on the right. Once the artwork is on the artboard, zoom into it by pressing Command and plus on Mac or Control and plus on Windows a few times. You can then drag the shapes into their final positions. Using the Shape Builder tool or Pathfinder effects, you can easily take simpler objects and create more complex artwork from it. So try experimenting a bit with other simple shapes you create to try and come up with something creative as an alternative for the center of the logo. Illustrator has some really powerful and fun ways to transform artwork freely. In this video, you'll explore the Puppet Warp tool, as well as the Free Transform tool to finish the artwork for these two postcards. With Illustrator CC open, you can open this practice file for this tutorial to follow along. If you look at this scarf the woman is wearing, it might look better if it had some movement to it, because she's riding into the wind. To do that, you can twist and distort artwork you select using the Puppet Warp tool. With the selection tool selected, click the orange scarf she's wearing on the left artboard here. So that you can zoom into it a bit, choose View, Zoom in several times. Now you won't find the Puppet Warp tool or the Free Transform tool you're going to use later in the Tools panel on the left by default, but you can add it. To see other tools you can use, click Edit Toolbar down here. Scroll down in the list and find the Free Transform tool. Once you find it down here, drag the tool onto the toolbar on the left to add it. When you see a line and a plus next to the pointer, release to add the tool. Now drag the Puppet Warp tool on top of the Free Transform tool. When you see a highlight around the tool and a plus next to the pointer, release to add it as well. You can then press the Escape key to hide the extra tools. Okay, with the Puppet Warp tool selected, notice the circles on the artwork. These are called pins, and the mesh that covers it. Illustrator automatically adds these pins in places so that you can move, rotate, or pin parts of the artwork to keep it still. To make the artwork easier to see as you distort it, you can turn this mesh off. Over in the Properties panel, deselect the mesh option. Come out to the artwork and move the pointer into the middle of the scarf. When you see a plus show up next to it, click to add a new pin. Drag that pin to see the effect on the scarf. The other pins right now are actually keeping that part of the artwork in place. Now you can also rotate pins to rotate the artwork. Click this pin on the end of the scarf to select it, and with the pointer over the pin, you'll see a dashed circle. Move the pointer over that circle and drag to rotate the artwork. Try moving and rotating a few of these pins. You can even select an existing pin and press backspace or delete to remove it. You can also select multiple pins by pressing the Shift key and clicking them. Now you'll finish the design for a postcard to the right of this one. So to view the other postcard, come down here and choose 2 from the Artboard navigation menu. You'll make this rectangle and dashed line into a road that vanishes in perspective using the Free Transform tool. So to select the gray rectangle, select the Selection tool and click to select it. Press on the Puppet Warp tool in the Tools panel and select the Free Transform tool. After selecting the tool, the Free Transform widget should be showing. You can see it here. This gives you some options for the Free Transform tool. Now the Free Transform option, selected by default, makes it so the tool can rotate, scale, shear, and more. Select the Perspective Distort option, and you can now distort the artwork in perspective. Move the pointer over the upper left corner and drag to the right, then release. Now to shear the road so it goes off at an angle to the right, select the Free Transform option in the widget. Move the pointer over the top point, and when you see this icon, drag it to the right. For a little practice, you can transform this dashed line to match the road. To select it, select the Selection tool and click to select the dashed white line. To zoom in a little bit to the top of the artwork, select the Zoom tool over there in the Tools panel and click on the top a few times. Select the Free Transform tool in the Tools panel. Then select the Perspective Distort option in the Free Transform widget. Move the pointer over the upper left corner and drag to the right a little. Now to see all of the artwork again, choose View, Fit Artboard and Window. To shear this line so it goes to the right and follows the road, select the Free Transform option in the widget. And so that the white lines won't align to the road as you drag, choose View, Smart Guides to turn them off. Move the pointer over the top point here, and when you see this icon, drag to the right and try to get it in the middle of the gray road. That looks pretty good. To make sure that nothing is selected, choose Select, Deselect. And to see everything you've created, choose View, Fit All in Window. Transforming artwork using the Puppet Warp or the Free Transform tools, among others, is a really easy way to do some pretty amazing transformations. Feel free to practice transforming other artwork in this file using either of these tools. A mask in its simplest form is a vector shape that you use to hide parts of other content. In this example, there's a shape that will become a mask, which is also known as a clipping path. It's on top of content that will be masked or hidden. When you turn this top shape into a clipping mask, everything beneath it that's outside the edges of the shape are hidden. The green shape in this case is still there, and you can edit the mask or that green shape. In this video, you're going to learn how to mask content. So with the latest version of Illustrator open this file from the practice files for this tutorial if you want to follow along. Then to make sure that you see all the artwork out here, choose View, Fit All in Window. Now you'll start by taking this shape and masking it with this shape of this flask to make it look like there's liquid in the flask. So with the selection tool selected, drag this green shape into position like you see here. Now the content you want to mask or hide parts of this green shape needs to be behind this shape that will become the mask. So with the green shape selected, click the Arrange button in the Properties panel and choose Send to Back to put it behind the flask shape. Now to select the flask shape as well, shift-click the edge of the shape. To create a mask with both objects selected, choose Object, Clipping Mask, Make. The parts of the green shape that are outside of the mask, this shape, are hidden. The flask shape and the green shape are now part of a special group called a clip group. You can see that at the top of the Properties panel on the right. You should also see two buttons up there as well. They allow you to select either the mask, which is that flask shape, or the content that is being masked, the green shape in this case. Click the Edit Contents button to select the green shape, and drag it up a little. Then, click the Edit Clipping Path button here to edit the mask. In the Properties panel, change the stroke weight to 3 point, and click the stroke color, selecting a gray. Click away from the artwork to deselect it, and to finish the project, you'll show some artwork that was hidden. So choose Object, Show All. In the other practice file from this tutorial, you'll mask all of this content using this simple shape. So first, drag across this content to select it. To keep the content together and make it easier to select later on, you'll group it. So click the Group button in the Properties panel. This rectangle shape will be the mask, so drag it on top of the group. Now to mask the group with the rectangle, select all the artwork by dragging across it. Once again, the object that will become the mask, this rectangle, needs to be on top. To mask the artwork, click the Make Clipping Mask button in the Properties panel on the right. Clicking that button is the same thing as choosing Object, Clipping Mask, Make, like you did earlier. To zoom into the artwork, press Command and plus on macOS or Control and plus on Windows a few times. Now, in order to edit the mask or the content that is being masked, this group with the bird artwork, you'll learn another method which you could have used on the mask in the previous project. Double-click the clip group to enter isolation mode. Now you can select the mask by clicking on its edge or the masked artwork. So click in the masked artwork, maybe this bird, to select it. Then drag the group with the bird down a little bit. To stop editing the mask or the content, press the Escape key to exit isolation mode. To make sure nothing is selected, you can click in a blank area. To see all of the artwork again, choose View, Fit All in Window. And to finish up, drag this masked content into the final design over here. There we go. Being able to mask all types of content will really open up a lot of doors for you to be more creative in your designs. So try experimenting with your own artwork to see what you come up with.